academic researcher, it could be to get your next paper. For an industry researcher, it could be both to get your next paper or your next product launch, right? That you're able to impact a new product. But what is very, very important is to pick problems that really deserve to be solved, that really ought to be solved, even if they are very hard for you to solve. Because instead of just being driven by how much confidence do I have that I would be able to solve that problem, don't worry about that. First start with, if I were to solve that problem, how much confidence do I have that it will matter in a really big way to the world? So there, one tool that I suggest is like do a series of so what kind of questions, that if I were to solve this problem, so what? What will it change? And then you come back with an answer. Let's say, let's say there is this thing that which is happening to, let's say Professor Narahari is building this farmer system. So if you build that system, so what? The farmers will be able to maybe earn more income, and we could avoid some of the. So what if the farmers would be able to earn income, right? So as you start answering those so what questions, if you end up with something that looks very, very significant, then that means yes, it's a problem worth solving. If in the end you come back with the answer, it'll make some minor difference to somewhere, some rich people in the world, they will become 5% wealthier and so on, maybe it's not a problem worth your attention. So I think picking the right problems which really matter is very, very important, independent of how confident you are about solving that problem. Because of course, once you pick that problem, then you start worrying about, okay, how would I solve the problem? Do I have the necessary skills? And chances are you probably do not have all of the skills, and therefore you need to collaborate with others, because often it requires kind of multiple skills, so you need to collaborate with others. Often it involves taking risks, right? So often there is a high risk of failure because the problem is very hard. I mean, if it's really, really going to be impactful, those problems, right? For instance, the ones that we heard about today on agriculture, these are very, very tough problems. So what if you fail on those problems? So my view is that if let's say there can be almost like three paths. One, the best case scenario is that, you succeed in solving that problem. I would say the kind of satisfaction that you get, as well as the recognition that you get from the rest of the world, when you solve one big problem, is far higher than what you get from a series of incremental papers, right? Because often, as a researcher, we have a tendency to think about, okay, how many papers do I have? How many citations I have? What's my H index and so on? Those are, okay, fine as indicatory measures, but they are not the real measures. I could have 1,000 papers with like hundreds of citations each, but that is not going to give you as much satisfaction as like a really big breakthrough that has changed the world. Because if you look at kind of the major awards, right, that are given out, Nobel Prizes, Turing Awards, these are all given for signature accomplishments. Like, what's your best? Because ultimately, at the end of your research career, you get satisfaction based on what were my best, like one piece or two pieces of work, or best at most, right? Some top K pieces of work, not how many papers did I write. That doesn't give you. So in the best case, right, if you succeed, that really is far more gives you far more satisfaction and recognition and everything than a series of incremental advances that you might be otherwise tempted to do. The other case is that you fail at that original problem, but chances are you will still succeed at producing much higher impact than if you were aiming for just like some incremental kind of advances, right? Give me my next paper and so on. So the very act of setting your goals very high, even if you fail, is likely to make you succeed at something which is far more impactful than not aiming high. And the third, absolutely worst case scenario, right, where you're completely failed at all of those things, I would argue the learning that you have from those failures, it probably paves the way for your success future. Because I've read so many of these articles, right, on what leads to success, right? And I mean, one common thing that everybody, all the wise people, successful people have shared is the secret, the real secret to success. They all agree is ultimately failures, because it's the failures and you're learning from those failures and your willingness to take those risks despite those failures, that is what sets you up to be successful. So if nothing else, if you completely fail, it probably is paving the foundation, right, for you to be successful. So that's a piece of, unsolicited advice I always give to anybody who works with me, and I didn't want to miss this opportunity in this session.
So I have a question based on what Prof.